Hi, this is Joe from Students in Aviation. Right now we're going to talk about how to come in for a landing from a straight-in approach, which is not always common. Usually we do what's called a left-hand pattern, but to make it a little bit easier for you and to use the sim a little bit more, we're going to actually do a straight-in approach there. So we're actually on final for runway 01. So let's set up our situation. You can do this on your sim. You're going to hold down your Alt key and you're going to tap the 1 key right here. And that's going to put us on the approach at Baraboo. The first thing we want to do is set our throttle here. So I've got my throttle right here. I'm looking at my RPM here. I want to bring that back to about 1600 RPM. And then the other thing I want to do is really important. I want to trim the aircraft up so that we're not descending too fast or climbing. I'm going to just tap on our little white button there that gets us in a seat there. All right, so I'm going to bring our throttle back a little bit more. What I'm doing here, I'm looking at that 1600 RPM. That'll get us in there nicely. If the plane starts descending really fast, we want to use that trim. Typically, you're going to pull back and then take off the control forces, but I'm using the trim there, just a little bits of trim here to get it to look kind of like this. This is what we want to see when we're on approach there. You'll notice these 5 lights. These are visual approach slope indicator lights. What we want to see is 2 red and 2 white, or 2 white and 2 red. And let's bring our throttle back a little bit more. We also want to be much slower here. So I'm going to actually drop some flaps here. So we hit our flaps button. That'll bring our flaps down. The first thing you notice when the flaps deploy is the nose pitches up, just like it does in real life. So we want to trim that out a little bit more here. I'm going to pull back on the control yoke a little bit. Want to be around 60 to 70 knots as we come in. And then over the numbers, we want to be closer to 60 here. I'm a little high on this approach, so it's not perfect, but it'll give you an idea here how to approach there. And then as we approach close to the ground here, we're going to actually hold it off. You just want to resist landing. Just hold it back, keep holding it back, keep holding it back. Want to just keep doing that until it finally settles down. And it'll get down. As long as you're not going too fast, the aircraft will land just fine. The problem that a lot of students have initially is that they're traveling too fast down the runway. They get into a porpoise or they skip down the runway. So you want to get your approach speeds nailed down, and that starts way back when you first enter your pattern or enter the final approach or the final on the runway there as you enter your final. So that's basically it. So I'm going to bring up my flaps here. Normally what I do in real life, we taxi off the runway here. I'm kind of taxiing all over the place here. I could turn around on the runway, but usually in real life, this is a fairly busy runway. So we'll taxi down to the end here. And once we get down to the end, we'll taxi off and then we'll clean everything up. So here we go. I want to stay on that center line there. I'm a little off to the left there, so let's see if we can correct that with the rudder pedals there. Again, my hands are not even touching the control yoke. Now there is one time where you're going to want to keep your hands on the yoke, and that's when you've got high winds. Generally speaking, we want to basically bank the aircraft or turn it into the wind so it doesn't, the wing doesn't lift up. So I'm going to apply a little bit of brakes here, and then we'll turn off the runway here. And notice I'm trying to stay on top of that yellow line. There's our runway threshold marking. I want to get the aircraft completely past that, and now I can go ahead and apply the brakes here. All right, so the plane is completely past that the threshold line. Let's go outside and I'll show you what it looks like here. So let's look at this. There, that right there is the runway threshold right there. So we don't want to have any part of the plane crossing that, either when we're going out to the runway or when we're exiting the runway. We want to make sure if we do stop, we're always stopped before going to the runway. You can see the runway right there. And that we're now on a taxiway here. All right, so normally now what we would do is we'll jump back in the plane by pressing that button right there. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and clean up the aircraft, make sure everything is set up. So we'll make sure the flaps are all the way up. So we'll tap that a couple times. I could put on the parking brake if I wanted to. I can see that if I move down here like that, we can see the parking brake is on. I'm going to turn that off there, and then we would maybe pull back our mixture a little bit to lean out the fuel mixture so we don't foul our spark plugs there. All right. So that concludes it for the landing. We'll do more of these as time goes on. These are just really short videos just to kind of give you an idea of how to fly the aircraft. All right. Well, thank you very much, and hope to see you at Oshkosh.